All right. So I'm going to give some live demos also while I do this. But in order for you to have the deck, I have a whole bunch of different links already built in. So it is a bit.ly link. It is all lowercase and it is case sensitive. So we've got a lot to cover in this half an hour. So here's the agenda. I'm not going to read it all because we're just going to do it one at a time. Now, important thing to note, I mean, we're talking about AI here, right? So Richard Baldwin said that AI won't take your job, but it's somebody using AI that will take your job. So I make all my clients use AI in the process of resume preparation. However, I absolutely positively do not believe in creating a resume using AI without a human. I don't think you can make it look pretty for the human eye. So first, we're going to talk about your LinkedIn banner. You know, it's your billboard. If you're driving down the freeway, okay, I'm not going to do kilometers here, folks. But, you know, maybe 100 kilometers per hour or wherever it may be in your country. You know, I have 65, 55, 65, 70 miles an hour here in the suburbs of Philadelphia. And so, you know, you want to make sure that your banner says what you want it to say. So if you put a what I call a unique selling proposition in, here's marketing at the speed of AI, you know, that's an example. But you can also highlight some of your high level keywords or skills, you know, and the bottom banner is an example. You can create a free canva.com account to do this. So here are the instructions. This is leading to greatcareers.org, which is the 501c3 nonprofit that I run. And here's your step-by-step instructions. So that's a link that is built in. All right. Next thing is a well-written resume content. If you have a really good solid base resume with metrics, then you can utilize all those experiences on LinkedIn. But of course, you're not just doing just the resume, you're also going to amp up and build out LinkedIn, you know, because it's your digital profile, it's your brand, it's your personal brand. So down at the bottom, it says Google Resume Heat Maps Business Insider. So I'm going to do a demo now. I'm going to click on Google and I'm going to type in Resume Heat Maps Business Insider. So here is images. We're going to click on images. And you've maybe seen this before. So if I click on this, what you've got is a black and white resume on the left, and you've got a resume that has these colored shaded bands on the right. So this was a study done by the Ladders, which is a senior executive platform, and Business Insider magazine published it. So on the left, you see the heat maps, the orange and yellow blobs. Those are going down about 2/3 of the way. And the one on the right, those heat maps are going down from top to bottom. So what are the heat maps? The heat maps are where the recruiter's eyes went on the resume. So I know that when you do ChatGPT or whatever AI you use to do a resume, you're going to get a black and white resume. And it's boring to the human eye because it's missing a pop of color. If you go on colorpsychology.org, somebody wants to type that in the chat, what you're going to find is you're going to have, well, what do all the colors mean? So here, for example, I use blue. And, you know, when you read this, there's really positive connotations about the color blue. So that's why I use this resume format on the right with the shaded bands. But I give my clients 2 resumes, a pretty resume for humans with that pop of color, and the boring black and white resume for the bots for the applicant tracking system. So let's take a look at what that resume looks like. And I just broke it down into little sections so I could give you some screenshots here. But on the top, you want to focus on what you want to be when you grow up. Basically, you want to match the job title. You don't want to put the words profile summary. And I know every country has its different style of resume. So what I'm showing you is what I use. This is my one and only template that I've used for over a decade. And I use it here in the United States, but I've also had clients from Singapore and Australia, etc. And they have this format also. So at the top of the resume, you have a targeted title. So you want that to match the job description. So you've got a little bit of customization and tailoring with X years of experience in what industries. Expertise in, strengths include, known for. So those are my sentence starters. If you have those 4 sentences and it's 5 lines or less, there's a really good chance that it's going to get read. If it's any more than that, 6, 7 lines or more, it's too verbose. It's too much dense text and people's eyes are going to glaze over. So then I put core competencies. I put them in alphabetical order because I'm a nerd like that. I like logic. I'm a former K-12 teacher. I have 9 Pennsylvania Department of Education certifications. I've taught high school English. I've taught math. And I just like a logical format. So if you have a hiring manager who is looking at this list, they're going to see that it's alphabetical order because your brain works differently than my brain. So that's why I don't believe that you should put it in the order you think is your importance. I think you should put it in a logical order. So the hiring manager is going to say, oh, must-haves, nice-to-haves. Oh, he, she also has. So that's why I do what I do there. Next section is technical skills. Now, if this is for a marketing person, these buckets, these categories are going to change to email marketing, and the like. But this is just an example of some buckets for an IT person. You don't have to use all the buckets. You can customize the buckets. And again, what am I doing? I'm putting all the software skills in alphabetical order in those buckets. Just like you see cloud starting with a C and web technologies with a W, everything is in alphabetical order, top to bottom, and so it should be left to right. The next thing is for anybody who has some seasoned experience under their belt, it would be career highlights. So you customize this to you. These are keywords, but you're going to put an accomplishment with a metric in it, a dollar, a number, a percent. How did you help a company make money, save time, improve processes? Your impact, how you move mountains is basically, going to be showcasing your achievements right here. Then professional experience. Now, back in 2016, I know that's 10 years ago, but I did write a chapter in a book, which is listed, I think, on the very last page of this deck. It's called Find Your Fit, A Practical Guide to Landing the Job You Love. I wrote a chapter in the book. I didn't write the whole book. There were 15 other career coaches that contributed chapters to the book. And my research on the applicant tracking system, this is the way I set up resumes. You have to think like a database. A database has fields in it: company name, city, state, dates, job title. Now you can see my dates are all numerical, and I line it up on the 6 or 6.5 line when it comes into a Word document. So it's really nice and easy, all lined up for the recruiter to skim and scan. It just makes it easy for them. And then I put the titles underneath. So if you worked remotely, that's not the city and state, okay, or country, whatever it may be. Every company has a headquarters, okay? So the headquarters is not called remote. It has a location, London, England, right? So that's why I put, contractor remote after the job title. And then if you have more than 10, 12, 15 years of experience, you might want to make a separate section where those jobs are one-liners and they are not, fully detailed with the bullets. That's what goes on LinkedIn. Then education, certifications, everything goes in reverse chron order. Maybe professional development, so awards and honors, professional organizations, volunteer. But those last sections may not go on the deconstructed resume for the applicant tracking system. This is only for the pretty resume. You want the basic sections to go on an ATS. Now, how do you get metrics in every single bullet? I think it's too tough of a job market. At least it is in the United States. I don't know in different other parts of the world, but there's a lot of competition. There's a lot more people that are looking to apply to jobs than are jobs that are available. And so you need to stand out in some way, shape, or form. So here is a prompt that you can put in ChatGPT. And this is where we can use AI to help us write a resume without writing the entire resume. So, put this prompt in and then put your bullet point in and then get a response. Put the next bullet point in and get a response. And this will help you get some metrics in there. So now I want to talk about keywords and an 86400 tip. Now, here's where I'm going to do some live demos. Now, what I'm going to say is we're going to go to LinkedIn, okay? And if I wanted to click the Jobs tab, I'm going to put in Project Manager. I happen to be in the greater Philadelphia area. And there are 2,000 results. Now, here's the 86,400 tip. This is gold, folks. So if you haven't heard this one, you're going to want to remember this. Date posted, past 24 hours, show 200 results. Okay? These are the freshest jobs. Now, to get even fresher jobs, up here in the URL, if you see 86,400, that's how many seconds there are in a day. So if we were to change it to last 1,200 seconds, okay, now there are 13 jobs. Ooh, so let's go. Is there anything in the last 600 seconds? There are 4 jobs. So if you think about when the bakery opens, right? I was a student in France, and we'd go to the club and we'd dance, and then we'd go to the bakery at 4 a.m. when it opened to get our chocolate croissants, right? They were fresh out of the oven. So if you're a job seeker and you want the freshest buns out of the oven, jobs, listed, you want to use this little technique. And if you have a solid base resume, metrics ready to go, you can easily tweak that resume and tailor it to the job that you want to apply to, and you're going to be one of the first ones. I'm not a fangirl of Easy Apply. I think you should go to the company's website and apply there first, and then if you want to go and do the Easy Apply or apply on LinkedIn, you go to that next. All right. Now, while I'm on here, let me refresh my screen. You saw that Project Manager had 2,000 jobs. So let's go to jobs. And now we're going to type in project management. And here I am, Greater Philadelphia. There's 3,000 jobs. So you're going to see when I show you a little demo of, somebody I worked with, why we use project management in the headline and why we use project manager in the about section. We want to use synonyms, but we want to make sure we cover our bases and have the one with the biggest hit in the headline, because, that's where the algorithm's going to, give it the biggest hit. So I've heard, we don't know anything about the algorithm. So this is all secondhand information that I am getting. But while I'm on this tab, I'm going to go to trends.google.com and let's compare project manager. And we're going to explore that. And then we're going to do project, I got to spell it right here, management. Okay. Now this is Google Analytics. So, we have to trust that Google knows what's going on. So in this case, I'm going to type in where I live, which is Philadelphia. I don't live in the city. I'm a suburbanite for sure. But we want, did I spell that right, Phil? Oh, no, that won't work if I don't spell it right. So there we go. I went from the drop-down menu, and I don't want the past 24 hours. Let me go with the past 3 months. And you can see from the line chart and the bar chart, if that's your major keyword, you definitely want to play on Google Trends, in whatever country you're in, to find out which version, which synonym of the word is the hot word. So in this case, this is mirroring what's going on LinkedIn. So there's the Google Trends. Now we're going to go to the skills section, and I'm going to show you a little demo on LinkedIn. So here we go. I'm going to pull my profile up, and we're going to go down to the skills section. So here, oops, that's experience. My bad. One more. Down a little further here. I went too far. There we go. Here's the skills section. So we all know the acronym SOP, Standard Operating Procedure. However, nowhere on this drop-down menu do you see those 3 words or 3 letters. You can't use that. If you want to be found, especially by someone who has LinkedIn Recruiter and LinkedIn Recruiter Lite, you have to play nice in the database. LinkedIn is a database. You have to choose this first one, which is Standard Operating Procedure, parentheses, SOP, okay? So you can't type stuff into the database because you're not going to get found for it. You have to choose from the drop-down menu. And there's a lot of softwares that have a specific way of doing things. So let's say it's Python. You can't just type Python. You have to choose Python programming language. So in the skills section, make sure that you use the drop-down menus. I'm going to discard that. In addition, if you go to the experience section and you're going to add a position, I had somebody who was called Project Manager 3. You see that in the drop-down menu? I'm like, you can be Project Manager 3 on your resume, but you can't be Project Manager 3 on LinkedIn. Let's just delete that Project Manager, the 3, and here are your choices. So I've had government employees. You've heard about, people getting doged from US aid and whatnot. Well, those people had some really long government job titles. And I'm like, you can't use that. We have to change you to program manager, project manager, or something that is in the drop-down menu. So you can be whatever you want to be on your resume, but on LinkedIn, you have to choose from the drop-down menu for the job titles so you get found for that future job you want to be found for. So how do you fess up and use your reality of your job title? Well, in your first bullet point, you're going to make it a little bit longer. You're going to put comma, acting as a program manager for Belarus, China, and, whatever country, right? So that way you're getting the real job title in there, and it matches what's on your resume. And then if somebody says, well, why do you have just program manager when you were blah, 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 you say, well, LinkedIn is a database. And I put the real title in the first bullet point, to clarify, but LinkedIn is a database and I'm playing nice with the database. Okay, moving on. The next thing is I want to show you LinkedIn's GitHub Career Explorer. So this thing also is gold. It is a LinkedIn database, but it doesn't 100% match what's going on in the database that I just showed you with the skills and the job titles. But here, I'm going to be a little bit of a drama queen here, so that you remember to go down. So you're going to go down, 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 down on this website until you see Atlanta. Okay. So again, I'm going to just use my area. And if I put in Philadelphia, it's not going to come up as Philadelphia. It's the large metropolitan area. So it's the same thing on your LinkedIn profile. You do not want to put the city where you live or work. You want to put the major metropolitan area. So now if I put in project manager, got to type right. So which kind of project manager are you? Okay. Information technology project manager. Well, here lists some skills that you might want to consider putting in your LinkedIn, but you have to make sure that those match in the dropdown when you go to put them in the skills section. But over here on the right, it gives you other job titles that you might want to look up. And it gives you other skills to build. You can put those in your repertoire also. Find jobs on LinkedIn, find connections on LinkedIn. And then, of course, in ChatGPT, let me just go look up something. I'm not going to do a demo on this. I'm sure you all know how to put a prompt in and a job. So I'm going to search chats and I'm going to go keyword. And it's just something that I might have pulled up. Let's see. Okay, I just wrote an article about life sciences. So I don't know if this is. No, this is not exactly what I was looking for. Keyword alphabetized. See if we find something here. Alphabetical keyword list. Okay, let's try this one. So create an alphabetical list of keywords from this job description and capitalize the first letter of each word. That's the prompt that's in the deck. Then I put in the job description, right? And now it gives me alphabetical keyword list, right? And I can take that and when I work with clients, I do data-driven decision-making, and I use a quadrangulated approach, which means a four-prong approach. As I work on my doctoral dissertation, there's something called triangulated research, which means that if you pull research from 3 sources, it makes it more valid and reliable. So I use that as a transferable concept to what it is that I do. And I do data-driven decision-making. I have a color-coded system and all that. I'm looking at the time and I'm freaking out here. So I'm going to move along to the next slide. So here is that prompt that I just showed you. And then how do you get a unique selling proposition in your headline, which is 220 characters. So here's an article. You can click on it, step-by-step instructions. I'm not going to go through this in detail because of time, but here's step 1, here's step 2, here's step 3, here's an article and unique selling proposition, and here's an entrepreneur example, because today sometimes we have to have multiple streams of income, or because we're a multi-potentialite and we have a lot of different interests and passions, and a job is not enough to feed your soul. So here's step 4, here's step 5. And, you just want to differentiate yourself in some way, shape, or form. Now, I did ask ChatGPT to rewrite my LinkedIn headline. I didn't like it. So I want to control my own stuff. So this is my recent headline that I actually just updated last week. So I want, key titles and what it is that I do. Am I going to put in CEO, founder, president? Heck no, I don't jam on titles. I jam on what it is that I do, what problem that I solve. But when I'm working with job seekers, yes, we are going to put a job title first, other keywords, and then the USP, the unique selling proposition. Everybody has their own formula. There's no one right way, no wrong way, but this is, how I do things. So your about section, you have to make it skimmable and scannable. If you ask ChatGPT or whatever to write your about section, I asked it to write mine. I didn't like it. It wasn't me. It wasn't my voice. So, but I am going to change mine, but I'm working on, I've got 5 sections of my own LinkedIn profile to still update. But here's an article on, is your LinkedIn about section easy to skim and scan or a wall of text? If you have black and white dense text paragraphs in your about section and somebody looks at it on a mobile phone, their eyes are going to glaze over. My eyes are going to glaze over. I'm not going to read it. Sorry. But here's Emojipedia, put a little pop of color in. So here is my about section. And then I'm going to put this little red caveat down at the bottom because I'm going to make it change it. I'm going to make changes to it. So I want to control what I want to say, but you want to put in, create this about section, keeping in mind Llama, 360 Brew, and natural language as LinkedIn's algorithms, and see what it cranks out to be, and then tweak it and modify it and use your own voice. So here, because of time, I'm only going to pull up Valerie. So Valerie has a custom banner. You see she has project management, keywords, her USP. Here is a skimmable and scannable with emojis, nice about section. And then all this came from her resume. Bullet point, white space, bullet point, white space. Everything has a metric in it. And it's skimmable and scannable to the human eye. Couple more slides, I think. Here are some bonus links of articles that I've written. I've probably written over 350 articles, and we just completed a week of Happy Neurodiversity Celebration Week. I'm the mother of an AUDHD adult child, so I am your champion and your cheerleader if you are in the neurodiversity space. So there's a bunch of articles that I wrote there. Here is my contact information on LinkedIn, my link tree. I have a Substack. I have a LinkedIn newsletter, and we have a 501c3 nonprofit for the price of a fancy cup of coffee at Starbucks per month. You can join us for some speaker events. So thank you all. And this is the screenshot you should take so that you've got the link to the deck and can access it, and with all the links built in. And then down at the bottom is my social proof. And here we are at 11:30. I don't know if you want to take questions or not, but that's up to you.
We'll take a question. Thank you so much, Lynn. I think that was, as expected, really practical. And do not fret if you're watching this and you feel like you need to watch it again. All the videos will be on demand, and we'll be sharing all the wonderful resources that Lynn has shared. So don't worry too much if you didn't manage to grab everything. We'll be sharing that, and do connect with Lynn to see the great things that she's up to. I did see a question, and I think it's a really good question. And it's, how do you reduce the experience on your resume, but still make it relevant so that you're not filtered out by the ATS?
So again, I make clients give me metrics in every single bullet point. I am not a fan of a one-page resume. Sorry. I think it's meant for 14-year-olds who have no experience. I'm going to stick to it. Even when I work with college students who need internships or they just graduated, you're going to have a 1.5 to 2-page resume so we can fit everything in. So if you have the right keywords at the top, you can also weave keywords and key phrases into the resume. And if you just make it standard, let's say, 4 bullet points per job, You know, it depends on how much experience you have, or maybe your most recent job, maybe 8 bullet points. But I've had clients that have come to me with 1.5 pages of bullet points, and I'm like, whoa, Nelly, we're not doing that. You know, maybe we can put it on LinkedIn if it allows it in the 2,000 characters in that section. But, you know, we got a little tweaking to do. So when I work with clients, it's about, you know, teaching them how to tweak a base resume in 5 minutes to tailor it to a job description, or take more time and weave in key phrases. But the best way to avoid the applicant tracking system is that H to H connection. Connect with humans. Humans hire humans, not bots. Network, network, network. If you tell me you don't have time to network, I'm going to tell you, make time.
Yeah, fantastic. And that's a great way to end. Thank you so much, Lynn. We look forward to sharing those resources.
All right. Thank you for having me.